Watch him throw the ball, we gon' pick it off. You gon' let him hit the hole or you gon' cut it off. You gon' play through 4th and long or you gon' punt it off. Your defenders, heavy hitters, put your pads in. Don't be looking for the ref to throw no flags in. Keep the helmet on, keep the cleats tight. You the type to want to win by any means, right? You should look alive. This is Trap or Die.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to another episode of Trap or Die Podcast. I'm your host of the Trap or Die Podcast, Mual. And here with the good man, Dre. AJ is on the way. Before we tap into the show, I see y'all in the chat, man. Kenny, 2 years in. So, I guess it is the best trade deadline in new ownership era. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. We definitely appreciate y'all checking in. Well, we almost at that 3K mark. You know what I'm saying? We almost there. Slowly turning. You know what I'm saying? But we almost there. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button if you're on the YouTube side. Podcast, if you're listening to the audio, we definitely appreciate you tapping in as well. Make sure you hit that follow button if you are not subscribed yet. Hit us with a rating and review if you can. It's 10 seconds to do so, and it's free to show your support that way. Dre, what it do, player?
Bro, this is the season that keeps on giving. And
yeah,
you mean to tell me that we may have more seasons of fun like this? This is a fun season. You know what I'm saying? Like, we already in the playoff hunt. We was already gearing up for the playoffs. Now we just made a move for this football team to actually make some noise in the playoffs. Not just get to the playoffs, but now we want to make some noise. We can compete with anybody now. We got a number one cornerback. That was the biggest weakness on this defense, man. Look, I'm happy, Mual.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think cornerback was the biggest weakness. What up, Twitch? I see you, Go Caps. Hawk, I see you. Out too, I see you. The Trappers. I think it was the biggest weakness. Marshon Lattimore. For those who don't know, we got to fill in it. We got to fill in anybody and everybody. The Washington Commanders snagged Marshon Lattimore from the Saints. The reeling Saints, who have lost 7 straight since the season started. Since they started the season 2-0. Fired Dennis Allen. It was a prelude. I think I said that right, or prelude to what was to be more changes coming from that organization, and Washington took advantage. of the opportunity by getting Marshon Lattimore here in Washington. We'll talk about the details of the trade later or down the line. We talk about the player right now. Okay, AJ's in the back, but we're gonna make sure he gets situated first. All right, but yeah, no, I think it was honestly probably the bigger position group that was needed. I seen some people mentioning before anything happened, like the defensive line and wide receiver, and defensive line, particularly because of the run game, and I think I mean, secondary and defensive line and front seven goes hand in hand. But when you have such a weak secondary, you gotta pick your battles sometimes. And I think even a secondary with the addition of Marcus Lattimore, it changes what you can do from a coverage perspective. It changes what you do from an alignment perspective, and a schematic perspective, right? You can trust a guy out there who can do well as a man corner or a zone corner. I don't want to get to the idea of star coverage, like that one thing where they even had Josh Norman doing, which he can't do, but they forced him to do that in 2016. But at the same time, like, you're talking about a person. Watch this.
He happy.
You talk about a person in Lattimore who, like, it allows some other people from a schematic standpoint of Joe Witt to like roam a little bit more freer. You can disguise your blitzes a little bit better. You got a person who's a high IQ level in Lattimore, right? Because he can just do a lot of different things that your cornerbacks couldn't do. I mean, you were dealing with primarily Noah Igbenogany, Benjamin St. Juste, and Mike Sainristil, right? Those are your three corners that you was playing, if not 100% of the snaps, 90 plus. And that was it in terms of your cornerbacks. Now you got another person where you can allow some people to go back to their natural positions. Ben St. Juste isn't going to be playing your number ones no more. Mike is going to be playing primarily. There's probably going to be situations where you have to, depending on pre-snap plays, and that's kind of a devil in the details type of thing. And then obviously, like, Sanders still gets back into slot, his natural position. So I think from the standpoint of like people mentioning a defensive line or wide receiver, defensive line particularly, if you can get a Lattimore, you can play a little bit more aggressive with your coverages on the back end. You can put that extra man in the box if you trust your cornerbacks to play on the boundary a little bit better. You can disguise your coverages into, I said that part already, but you can disguise them in show blitzes and get out into a coverage a little bit better when you rotate or roll your coverages. Excuse me, that's what I was thinking of. So I think it's a win from several different aspects of this move, and yeah, it boosts. I didn't even talk about like the opponents that you can really contend with now or compete with now, because you have somebody who can like level off the playing field with your secondary versus their receiving core. So I think it does a lot of things for this defense and for this team overall, especially when you have an offense who is like historically good.
Yeah.
What up, AJ?
It was good, man. Yeah, glad we got something to talk about besides the record. Definitely think it's a great deal. I think there's some draft nerds or Twitter GMs that, they gave up too much. No, they didn't. Like, this is a proven cornerback that has played at an elite level in the NFL when he's been healthy and been in these games. He's known as being that star corner. When I say star, I don't mean like superstar or whatever. I'm saying like he's traveling with your number one week in and week out. It's just that some of the way that New Orleans Saints have employed their defense, he got kind of moved out of that role in some regard, but he could still do it. We know of his infamous battles with the guys like Mike Evans over the years. He's a dog. He brings everything that, they typically talk about with their organization, what they want. They say that they want guys to ride violently, play aggressive, just have a nasty streak to them. that's Marshon Lattimore to a T. I definitely want to give kudos to Adam Peters and Dan Quinn for making that move. I know that Joe Witt Jr. signed off on this. He's a defensive back guru. Before being the DC, he's been known to work wonders with cornerbacks. So he's definitely known the inside details of Marshon Lattimore. And I know he's excited to get him to the mix of what they got going on. Like you said, Mual, it pushes Ben back on the outside primarily, and Mike Sandstrom into the nickel. Now you have some cornerback depth with Noah Igbenogany and also Emmanuel Forbes, who I don't believe that they should get rid of. I think having a veteran that's still youthful but has done it at a premier level in this league can work wonders for that room, and being able to provide lessons and different techniques and nuances to the position for Mikey Sandstrom, Ben St. Juste, and Emmanuel Forbes. They've had, like Emmanuel Forbes, Ben St. Juste, they've had like Kendall Fuller in that room before, but Kendall's not as vocal, and I've touched on this quite often here on Trap or Dive. Marshon's more vocal. He'll actually be able to kick it with the guys, relate, give them little nuances that they can pick up on. I think that Ben, once again, disclaimer, friend of mine, but I feel like he has a lot of potential, and he hasn't really been able to hone in all the way on his skills because of how things went under Ron Rivera and how Jack Del Rio utilized him and having him learn all these different positions. And it's pretty hard to be a slot and then go to the outside, especially you never played slot before. Like, they ain't never been your thing. You just trying to make your way within the league. And that's not to say that Ben's not going to see number ones during the rest of the season, because a lot of teams got 2 number ones. when you look around the league, Philadelphia Eagles, for example, even if Marshon's guarding A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith's still on the other side. That's the number one. They don't play the Bengals again, but T. Higgins and Jamar Chase, a lot of teams got wide receivers. So I think that it was an amazing move. I think that it should improve this defense as far as now having a guy that can really just truly lock on a number one and go and take out that man. And I expect him to play a lot more man coverage and really be more aggressive within the blitzing of this defensive front.
Yeah, I mean, for me, this move was like a cherry on top of everything that's just been going on. It just kind of solidifies where you are as a franchise. And it's still surreal. You know, it's funny because Jay Tyler, I see him in the chat. Me and Jay Tyler was talking about earlier, just don't feel real. Like, you got to go years before we kind of had this hope and this feeling and, you know, these type of acquisitions. But now you kind of got the notion that we got a guy that knows what he's doing in Adam Peters. You know, before it was kind of a fun thing.
Hey, Dre, real quick. So the trade made you feel like Super Bowl bound?
I mean, so, all right, but put it like this. Before the trade happened, my thing was get to the playoffs, have fun. You know, it's year one. I'm not expecting us to win anything or win anything significant in a sense, because I still felt like there were glaring holes and weaknesses on the defense. And that main one was that cornerback position, like, you know, the secondary. Yeah. But this move here makes me feel like you can play with anybody now, because the whole defense kind of changes. Like, to me, now you can kind of call a defense that Dan Quinn and Joe Witt Jr. is used to calling, like one of their, you know, a defense that's familiar to them. We've been talking about it all year, that they've been trying everything and they've been trying to do a lot, but they only have so much they can do with the personnel that they have on hand. But now you get this number one cornerback. I mean, this is a guy not Marshon Lynch, I mean, Marshon Lattimore in particular, but you have a guy now that I wanted in a number one cornerback. And I was hoping to get that next year. And I was actually looking into the draft. I'm like, you can't find these guys in free agency. You know, it's kind of rare to get these guys in a trade. But here you have a situation where you were able to go out and get a guy that was available, and not because he can't play anymore, it's because the Saints have a fire sale going on. This is a team headed in a different direction than Washington now. They're trying to get out of cap hell, so they're getting rid of players that can play but they just need something else right now, and this helps Washington. And again, this makes me feel good because Adam Peters and Dan Quinn have been really in sync. They talked about the aligned vision all off season. We heard that a lot. And we've seen it on the field in the players that they've been able to accumulate. You know, like Adam Peters is going out there getting guys that the coordinators and Dan Quinn kind of puts a player profile to say, this is the guy that works on my defense. And we've seen these guys, you know, or, you know, offense, whatever the case may be, but we've seen these acquisitions work so far. So it gives you the confidence that this isn't one of those kind of deals where you're getting a Clinton Dix, or, you know, I think in the chat, Hawk mentioned the William Jackson thing, and we saw how that went. And it wasn't necessarily because William Jackson was bad. They got a cornerback that just didn't fit what they wanted to do. It was like they didn't have the profile or the type of guy that
he turned out to be bad. If you look at the rest of his career, unfortunately.
Well, that's true too, because he went to Pittsburgh after, and I don't know what happened after that. but he was good in Cincinnati.
At least he cashed out.
Yeah, he got his bread, and he got it because he was good in Cincinnati. But the point being is that I believe that they have this aligned vision, and this aligned vision works because we've already kind of seen it proven. And, you know, as you mentioned, Mual, about everything you could do differently on the defense, it's exciting now because now the safeties can play up a little bit more. You can take one of those safeties and you can put them down into the box and you can get aggressive with certain things. It just changes so much with the defense. It's not just a Marshon Lattimore. We acquire him. He's just going to check one person. No, Marshon Lattimore, he changes what you can do on defense in a lot of ways, in exciting ways. So this is exciting.
That man Jeremy Chin may mess around get to a Pro Bowl, bro. After this deal, bro. Like that, the thing that he can do around the box, bro. Like and Joe, the thing that's important to know about it too. Like Joe Witt been talking about it for like the last couple of weeks in his pressers, how he wants to use Jeremy Chin a little bit more aggressively, like just in terms of certain play calls and making him having him have a little bit more freedom in those play calls. And I think you can move him around a little bit more. Like you got some chess pieces, bro, and you got a coordinator who understands the people on the side. I'm about to say some crazy thing, talking too fast, bro. On that side of the football, bro. So like it's I can't wait to see what the secondary looks like. Knowing that you got somebody as strong as a strength in Lattimore.
Yeah, I mean, I think. You know, a key thing that I want us to even focus on with this conversation, man, is like, who even thought Marshon Lattimore was going to be available? So when we've been sitting here doing these trade conversations, the cornerbacks has been mentioned have been guys like Greg Newsome and J.C. Horn was never on the market, but, you know, that's what the fans were talking about. As options, and it's interesting to see the dialogue behind like social media. A lot of people ran to the injury history and not really having context behind it. At the end of the day, as a player of Marshon Lattimore's stature, when you're getting paid the kind of money that you are, you can go out, you can protect yourself a bit more than a younger guy that's not on the second deal. So if your team isn't necessarily in competition to win games, you can pull yourself to stay healthy and not have to worry about major injuries such as a torn ACL or Achilles. I think people got to put that into context. Even right now, they're like hamstring. If you had a hamstring issue, you wouldn't even be able to be traded because he wouldn't pass his physical.
Exactly.
Nor would Washington be interested in giving up that much value for a guy that's hurt. It's just one of those things where players protecting themselves, and the team also understands that, hey, this might be an asset for us to get some draft capital from. Let's not even push it. Kind of like Devontae Adams. Devontae Adams had a hamstring. Motherfucker was out there before the trade even became official and played the same week. So it's just kind of like the NBA way of like resting. Like, something comes up injury report wise, but
well, yeah, Matt Parrish of he used to work in Washington. Washington Times. He was on locally, or he spoke to somebody locally. But he covers the Saints now. For those who don't know, he covers the Saints now. And he was saying that the hamstring injury that Lattimore was dealing with was a semblance of or resembles the same thing that Devontae Adams was dealing with in Vegas. So it was kind of like that's his strong lean. He didn't say like as a matter of fact, but his strong lean was like there's a good chance that Washington can see him as early as Sunday because of a situation like that. He didn't say that part verbatim, but that's what he was kind of hinting towards in his words. It's like this is literally something where that hamstring injury really ain't nothing to be even concerned over. Just
it
one
was the
phone
Devontae Adams thing.
just one phone call to Dr. Sebi and you healed.
Hey, look, but can we talk about how shrewd the move is? Because for me, I mean,
one second.
Yeah, go ahead.
We with it. I'm with that. I just wanted to bring this back full circle because I had forgot that AJ wasn't there when we did the Super Bowl meter thing on Sunday. He had timed out at that point. So you didn't hear his AJ.
We were still live, or it was private.
Yeah, we were still live. You had something happened on your end towards the end of the show. So that's kind of what happened. But what we did and what I'm about to start doing moving forward, this is a perfect time now that they got Lattimore. But I'm about to start doing on a weekly basis, just like a check-in on the Super Bowl conversation. Like not necessarily winning the Super Bowl, but your feeling of Washington making it out of the NFC. And I think I was at a solid 3. And I think Dre used at a 3.5. It was a scale of 1 to 5. So let's all scrap Sundays. Let's go ahead and restart it. And let's ask again with AJ here, what do we feel about this roster and how does it stack up, obviously, with the other potential conference title contenders? What are the odds that Washington, or what's your gut feeling on a scale of 1 to 5? Washington making it out of the conference?
Just so y'all know, this is not a rehearsed show. I haven't even thought about that. 1 to 5. What is 5?
5 is
that's super confident. You're sure? You're very sure they're getting there.
I mean, let me do a 2.5.
Okay.
And the reason why I say 2.5, felt like once you get into the dance, and especially with how this NFC is shaping up to be, it's fair game for anybody. Like, who would have thought the Detroit Lions would have been a couple possessions away from a Super Bowl berth? You feel me? Like, this team has been ass forever. Like, been so tired of seeing them on Thanksgiving. Like, just complete ass doo-doo. Like, and they messed up their own fortune of being that team to play the Kansas City Chiefs in the Super Bowl. But I feel like each team that is projected to possibly be in the NFC playoffs has some type of situation going on with them. Washington's really right now, knock on wood, is the most healthiest team. You got Green Bay Packers. Jordan Love keeps getting hurt, right? That's the main thing that makes them go. You got Detroit Lions. They lost Aiden Hutchinson. How do they really get back to that level? We'll see if Zadarius Smith can make up for some of that productivity that Aiden Hutchinson was bringing to the table. You also look at the Philadelphia Eagles. In my opinion, they're a very inconsistent team. They just had a nice little run of their schedule. So it's making them look good, but they almost lost that game to Jacksonville,
They tried to lose it.
Yeah, who else? 49ers. They have injuries with Ayuk. Defense is subpar. Chris McCaffrey is now trying to come back. Like, you don't really know what you're getting from them, especially defensively. Offensively, you kind of know what they're going to do.
You said 2.5 or 2? I forgot what you said.
I said 2.5.
All right.
I mean, I ain't even going to mention the Cowboys. Who else? The
Vikings. Lions, Vikings.
Yeah, the Minnesota Vikings. I mean, Sam Darnold is still the quarterback. Like, I mean, do we really believe in Sam Darnold?
The dude is he throwing INTs out the wazoo lately, bro.
Yeah.
He just keep turning the ball over.
I mean,
Do we
teams
trust the
are starting-
Falcons?
They're starting to get caught up. You said that I mentioned Falcons?
No, I said, do we trust the Falcons? Because that's the only NFC South team worth mentioning.
I feel like the Falcons got a chance to be in the playoff dance, but at the end of the day, Kirk Cousins is still the quarterback, and that defense is not getting to the quarterback. Like, even with the addition of Judon and trying to shore up the back end with, Justin Simmons, they're not necessarily getting to the quarterback. So they're hit or miss. But just overall, the NFC is a toss-up, bro. Like, the only two teams that really concern you is the Detroit Lions and I guess the 49ers just because of past history. But outside of that, anybody could win, anybody could lose. Whereas in the AFC, it's truly between the Chiefs and the Ravens.
You can't count the Bills out either.
The Bills is not doing anything.
I gave him a chance every year. Unfortunately, I fall into the trap. So I gotta. I'm falling into the trap again. But I do think Baltimore. We getting away from Washington. But yeah, that's kind of.
Yeah. So I mean, all in all, the 2.5 is up in the air. I think that this move was not made to try to get to the Super Bowl, but the move was made for what they can do presently. But also when you look in the future, 2025 allows them in the first round to do whatever they want to with that pick. They could either stay there, move back, acquire more capital, but you also only have two cornerbacks that would still, two cornerbacks that would have still been under contract. That would have been Mikey Sanders and Emmanuel Forbes. Ben is a free agent. Noah's a free agent. Michael Davis is going to be a free agent. Then when you look at the free agency pool at cornerback, it was DJ Reed, Javarius Ward. I mean, those guys, they're pretty solid, but do you want to pay those guys upwards of $20 million in the open market? They haven't proven to do anything in the league. Like, they don't have that resume. So it only made sense to throw those picks out there and go and get you a perennial all-pro cornerback. I think it's fair game. Like, I think when you got that quarterback, anything can happen. Jaden is special, man.
So, AJ, it's funny because all of the reasons you mentioned, I'm super shocked that you only went a 2.5. You basically talked them up to the point that you probably should have been at a 4 with your confidence level in them. For me, it was a 3.5 one.
We talking about Super Bowl, though.
I know, but I mean, you just pretty much said the NFC ain't shit. You went through everything. You went through all the reasons why everybody ain't shit, and then said Washington's a 2.5. But no, for me, I was at a 3.5 Sunday. I'm just gonna move the meter slightly up to a 3.75. Not a 4 yet.
What?
Yeah,
what?
No,
look. What did you just say? A 3.75?
A 3.75. I was at a 3.5 on Sunday. So 3.75 now, and here's the reason.
So you increased by 0.25.
Yes, because I'm not going to that 4 yet. 4 means,
hey man,
4 means they right around the corner. Four. You think 4 means it's like it's only one team that they really.
4 means that I'm gonna be.
Was y'all drinking before I got on here?
No, I'm gonna be looking into my budget for Super Bowl tickets once I'm at a 4.
You know? Were you guys drinking before I got on here?
I'm drinking now, and I've been drinking before. Well, I just started drinking.
Definitely. 3.75 is an insane number to put out there.
I mean, but I don't want to go to a 4 yet. I mean, it's the closest thing you can go to a 4, and the reason being is the NFC. And I talked about this on Sunday, and I'm with you, AJ. I agree that the NFC is a toss-up. The NFC isn't the AFC. The AFC has that gauntlet of quarterbacks that you have to go through a tough competition, that whole playoff thing. Whereas in the NFC, for years, it's been known as kind of been more inferior because we don't have the quarterbacks that the AFC has. And the quarterbacks is the reason you get there. We have a quarterback now. He's playing at a top 5 level. But you do still have those, the Eagles who we haven't faced yet. And that's why I'm at a 3.75 now. My answer may change after we play the Eagles because I feel like that's one of the big contenders, at least in the NFC East, that we're going to have to face twice. To me, San Francisco is still going to be a threat. I know they're an issue right now, but I believe they're going to get to the playoffs. I think they're going to win the NFC West eventually, and they're going to be a team that's experienced. They've been through this. They've been to the Super Bowl a couple of times in the last couple of years with Shanahan. That's going to be an issue. You talk about the Detroit Lions, who right now is playing the best football in the NFC conference right now. No question. That's the best team right now in the NFC. Then there's the Vikings and those other teams, the Packers, which to me, I feel like we're on that kind of playing field. We can beat those teams. My question is, can you beat the Lions? Can you beat the Eagles? Can you beat the 49ers? Those are the three teams that I view as the biggest threats in the NFC. And we will get to find out, can we compete on that level or can we beat those type of teams pretty soon when you play the Eagles? Because like I said, we have them twice. So, but this Marshon Lattimore gives me a little bit more confidence because of what you can do on the defensive side of the football now. And I agree with you, AJ. This wasn't a move made because, yes, let's go win a Super Bowl right now. This move was made for now and the long term because you're going to have Marshon Lattimore for a couple of years, but you have him now where you can compete now. You're not just looking at the playoffs as a fun event. You're looking at the playoffs like, man, we're gearing up with dogs because we're going to go against dogs. So that to me says, yeah, hey, we want to do something that we know where we're at. But right now, again, I'm only moving it up a quarter just because I need to see us play against a playoff team like the Eagles, who we will see teams like that in the playoffs.
Well,
and that'll give me the confidence to say whether we can go to the Super Bowl or not.
Well, you got the Steelers right around the corner too.
That's true.
Meaning like
I'm not that high on them though.
and definitely Philly, but for me, I'm still at a 3. It didn't change any at all. I think what Lattimore did was give me more confidence that you can compete against a team like Philly and a team like Atlanta, right? Who has some solid weapons, right? I think those are like the primary, like direct competition that Washington is going to be able to compete against. And then I think about like who's going to be like your wild card matchup. If you somehow happen to lose the NFC East, right? You're still going to be in there, and you're probably going to play the Eagles. So you get a chance at them again. But if you do win it, you have a shot at. Well, I mean, at one point it was Chicago. I don't know what it looks like now. I think it actually is Philly, still. But I'll spin the block on that anyway. But I think about immediate ones, like you'll probably have like the Falcons, the Bears, or the Eagles in play for your wild card, right? So that's what I think about immediately, and it gets you to the second round. You don't have to worry about Detroit right now because Detroit's going. They looking like they about to run away with the 1 seed. So you won't see them to the conference title game if that's that's the case. But for Washington, it's really still a 3 for me. The confidence factor it does boost up a little bit. That it's just a matter of time till Lattimore gets settled in. It's a matter of time till he gets good in the locker room. I don't think it's going to take forever. It's more so just like till he probably even knows some people here. If I'm not mistaken, you got to do your homework. But he probably knows some people here already.
Lattimore?
Yeah, Lattimore. He went to Ohio State with Terry.
Oh, I mean, of course, Ohio State for sure.
Terry, Noah.
Yeah. So
Noah,
he has some people that he's familiar with already. And I think for Washington overall, it just helps them with their immediate chances in the NFC East, and it helps them at least in the first round. In terms of short term thinking. But let's go ahead and get into the value play, like the actual compensation. What this play means for Washington's future. Like AJ kind of hinted on it with the draft part, and then like moving forward. So let's talk about that. But before we do that, we got to talk about them boys over there at Underdog Fantasy. Look, man, it's the best place to play champions. If you go ahead and sign up right now using promo code TrapperDive, it gets you $1,000 in bonus cash instantly. It's a running special promo for this month where the bonus is almost every single day. So you can use your bonus on Profit Boost. You can use it on discounts, free picks. And free picks is the one that I use the most. I love them because, if I remember the CD Lamb one I did a couple weeks ago. And every single week they'll give you a player where you can do a passing yard on the quarterback, and it's like at a 0.5. Just tap the button. Everybody, if you don't get 0.5 yards, bro, you got bad luck. So that's a problem. But they give you free picks, man, and I think that's probably one of the sweetest things to add to your list of players that you want to put on the play. So go ahead and head over to Underdog Fantasy. Use one of their profit boosts or discounts or free picks. I told you about B-Rob too. That's the play right now, but he's dealing with a little injury. So if you want to switch it up, guess who else on fire? That boy Terry. Terry on fire. Derrick Henry, the other team in the DMV area. You know, he gonna get you a tutty. Yeah, so I really like Underdog Fantasy. Make sure you go ahead and head over there. Use the promo code TrapperDive. It's fun. It's easy to use. And download the app as well. If you haven't done so, use that promo code. And we can get started that way. Obviously, must be 18 or older, 19 or older in Alabama and Nebraska, 19 and older in Colorado for some games, 21 in Massachusetts and Arizona, and present in the state where Underdog Fantasy operates. Terms apply. Void in Colorado. If you are concerned with your play, call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org or call 1-800-NEXT-STEP if you're in Arizona. That's 1-800-639-8783, or you can text Next Step to 53342. If you're in New York, call the 24/7 HOPE line at 1-877-HOPE 8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369.
Hey, Mo, you did a good ass job with that because we had distractions. AJ was acting a fool in the background. Motherfuckers in the comments was coming.
Hey, well, guess what, bro?
You did. Hey, that was better than the hostage video.
hey, guess what, bro? I don't see none of that right now, so that's my trick. I tune everything out. I ain't see nothing, bro.
Hey, quick question. Any of y'all had Raising Cane's?
Yeah, it's one right by my house.
It's one right down the street from me though.
It's one right by my house.
That's the joint where they only serve chicken. They only
chicken tenders and the worst
you
fries
did
in
that
the
on
world.
the show because what do we got? You shouldn't have did that, bro.
It is ass, man. Ass.
Why you do that on the show, bro?
He eating it. He's drinking it while he talks about it.
Man.
The best thing I had was my drink, which was
But look though, ain't that the one? That's the joint where they only serve chicken and fries, right?
Chicken tenders and fries. They got the worst fries in America.
This
one
is like school. It's like school lunch. It's like school lunch, bro. Like and
they got some sauce, right?
I would say is the sauce.
Yeah,
they got a sauce.
The sauce is fine.
If you just told me the sauce, bet like I could put that on a chicken sandwich. I can make my own damn tenders at that point. Like.
So how did they just start popping up out of everywhere, bro? Because it's like
another thing. Like, it's real popular in the South. Like
the owner trying to go ham. What's crazy is I've done business with them, but I've never ate the food before. And
you
now
just ate it for the first time.
They got it in Northern Virginia. I guess it might have just.
Oh, you even bolder,
bro?
You want to talk like that after you did business with them?
Man, I don't give a damn. It is ass.
I had them once.
I take the bread, but it's
never had them
ass.
again. I never had them. And the chicken ain't even that bad, but it's not good enough to keep me coming back because the fries are trash. They give you this little piece of bread, and it's not worth it.
The bread made me feel like I was a slave. Like I'm like, why am I eating this bread with chicken tenders and fries? Like
that actually makes me. That actually not what AJ said. I was about to say that's wild. But like the fact that it's that bad. Like it makes me want to like try it one time. It's like it can't be that. It can't be that bad.
I mean, it's not nasty to the point where AJ saying it, but for me, I live literally about 2 minutes from one, and I've been there one time to eat it myself. I just won't go back. It's not worth it. maybe like after on a lit night, just come back. They be open late too, like 2 a.m. You can catch them open. So
all right. Well, shout out to Raising Cane's, man. If you want to consider sponsoring us too,
just get some better French fries, and I'll promote you all you want.
Yeah, we can eat French fries on the show. You know what I'm saying?
Good luck to them on that.
Value play. Where we at, man? So let's go ahead and get the full details out. The Commanders snagged him for essentially a 3rd round pick, a 4th round pick, a 6th round pick, and Washington gets a 5th round pick in return. The 6th round pick that Washington is trading to New Orleans is the 6th round pick that they got from the John Ridgway trade. So they basically gave their pick back. The 4th round pick, I believe, is their own, right? Or no, the 3rd. Which one is one of them is their own, the 3rd or the 4th?
They gave up the one. They gave it their own, and that was the later pick. So they kept the one that the Eagles gave them through the Dolphins.
Yeah,
it was originally a Dolphins pick. So yes.
Okay, so wait. You said the 3rd one, the original 3rd, and then the one
original 3rd.
All right, I got you.
Yes.
All right, the original third is the one that they're giving up, and then 4th round pick as well. So, what are we thinking? I don't think you have any. You shouldn't have any complaint if anybody's talking about compensation. It shouldn't be any issue with anybody. If you're talking about, because I know one of the biggest gripes from a lot of people who swore they knew Adam Peters, and company is, we're not giving up draft assets for anybody out there. Peters values the draft, and sure, I believe that to be true. But I think you make picks and you make trades. You make trades with picks if you find something that's worth it. And I think this is one of those opportunities where you didn't give up. You only gave up a small portion of like 9 of your draft picks or 10 of your draft picks, however many you had. Like that, this is probably like the perfect scenario to acquire a former Pro Bowl player.
No, to me, this was actually a great move, Maul, and it would have been considered because I was listening to Rick Spielman, the guy who helped us out in the process of finding Adam Peters. Him and Pete Prisco were on CBS, and they kept talking about we gave up a lot in draft compensation. I'm like, sure. And then it was a good move for the Saints as well. They got draft compensation, and we did give up a lot in draft compensation.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that.
Lost in the talk of that is we still have a lot of draft compensation. Like, this is why you make the moves that Adam Peters made this summer. He made the move with Jahan Dotson. Then if you don't make that trade with the Eagles and get that extra 3rd rounder, you probably don't make this trade today just because you're probably going to be depleted going into the draft next year. But because you made that trade, and the beautiful thing about it is you were able to keep the higher pick from that trade, which was the Dolphins pick, and you gave up your own, which is going to be a late 20s, 30s in the 3rd round, whatever it's going to be. And you gave up a 4th rounder, you got a 5th rounder back, you gave up a 6th rounder. So ultimately, you only lost 2 draft picks. You had 9 draft picks going into the 2025 draft as of today. And then you left out of this trade with 7 draft picks, and you still kept all of your premier draft picks. You have your 1st, you have your 2nd, and you have your really early 3rd, which is the Dolphins' 3rd as of right now. So to me, I mean, this was the move that the good organizations make. These are the shrewd type of moves that the good GMs make. And Adam Peters is just proving that he's not going to get walked over. There's no scenario yet that we can't come out of thinking Adam Peters just got robbed. Like, Adam Peters is looking to rob you. And in this case, I wouldn't even say the Saints got robbed because that is good compensation. But again, you can afford to do what Washington did today because you had all of those draft picks.
No, Adam Peters robbed Philadelphia. That's what he did.
Yes, he robbed Philadelphia. But you made the move because you were able to accumulate these draft picks, which good organizations do. And Adam Peters is kind of proven that he knows what he's doing when he's up here in these GM talks and he's in these GM circles. He knows what he's doing. He's not going to let anybody, rake him over. And this was competition. Like, we weren't the only team after Marshon Lattimore. I mean, Adam Schefter had reported the Chiefs were after him. There were a couple other teams. The Ravens wanted in on him as they ended up going to Tre'Davious White. But Adam Peters ended up winning. And again, it wasn't nothing that crippled Washington. Like, we still have all of our draft picks. And I would be very shocked if we enter the 2025 draft pick or the 2025 draft without more draft picks. I think he's going to find a way to accumulate more. So, I mean, this was a great price. This was one of those deals when you see an elite guy get drafted, you'd be like, man, that's all they gave up. That's what it kind of felt like. Like, Washington was one of those teams that, like, man, that's all they did was to get that guy. And it's not a temporary thing. You're not just renting this guy for half a season. You have this guy under a deal for a few years. Now, we talked about this in the chat earlier. We may be, restructuring this deal, whatever the case may be. But either way, you have a lot of money. You have a lot of cap space. But this is a number 1 cornerback right here. This is an elite cornerback, a guy who's went to the Pro Bowl 4 times in his career. Like, this is a guy you can kind of mark into a starting slot at cornerback for a couple of years here. He has a couple of good years left. He's only 28 years old. So to me, the value was tremendous. And it's even better because it didn't cripple us going into this next year's draft. We still have all of our premier picks. We still have all of the day one and day 2 draft picks going into the 2025 draft. And you added a guy that you were hoping to draft that will eventually be like a Marshawn Lynch at some point. So to me, great value for this trade.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was an amazing trade. Like I touched on earlier, I think that too many times we have pundits that give their opinion based off the the calculation of points with slotted draft picks, and that's how they determine if a trade is worth a certain value. But at the end of the day, you aren't playing a numbers on the board game. You're playing actual football, and this is a talent that is still young, still doing it at a high level. Like, it's not like he's washed or anything. He's been an all-pro corner. Like, I mean, we're talking about one of the top 10 cornerbacks in the entire NFL. To get him for a third-round pick when you still also have another third round, and you have actually the third-round pick that you have is from the Philadelphia Eagles, but the Eagles acquired that from the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins have one of the worst records in the NFL right now. So you're talking about picking early in the third round. Then on top of that, you gave up a fourth. It was a fourth and a sixth, right?
Third, fourth, and sixth, and you got a fifth back.
Yeah. So I mean, if you can get a top 10 cornerback that's under the age of 30 for those picks, you would do it any day of the week. There's a reason why a lot of teams were in the sweepstakes for Marshon Lattimore, but you had to give the better deal. You had to make it more appeasing for the Saints to want to take it. They're not doing Marshon Lattimore any favors. They weren't asking him, hey, where do you want to go? Okay. No, they took the best deal that was on the table. And when you're competing against other teams, you don't know necessarily what they might be offering out there. You might try to get some insight, but you really don't know. So you got to put your best deal on the table and make sure that team is forced to take it because that's the better value for them. And that's what they did. They went and got their guy. I think that's the most telling thing about this situation with Adam Peters, Dan Quinn, Joe Witt Jr., because everyone's in the mix, especially when you're in season. How do we plan on utilizing this guy? How do we envision our defense growing from here? How do we plan on getting other players into the mix, whether it be the Jeremy Chins getting to be a more aggressive blitzer and playing at the line of scrimmage, Jordan McGee now maybe getting to play some defensive end, employing Louvu in more blitzes. How do we free up, Mike Sandistro to really get he's getting his footing within the NFL, but let's get him back in the slot. That's why we drafted him. We drafted him to be our nickel back, not our outside corner. It's just due to how things are going. Joe Witt Jr., that's why I give him the biggest kudos in the world. He's not one of those coaches stuck in a one-track mindset. He has flexibility. And now when you add in a Marshon Lattimore into the mix of what they got going, and these boys are getting together, they're humming. Like, you put in a dog, like Marshon Lattimore is a dog to me. You put him into the mix, it should improve that defense tremendously as far as on the back end, because now you got a guy that can play that star role. So I have no problem with what they gave up. I think you have to look at the trade not only for what it is in the moment, but you got to look beyond. You got to look in the free agency. There was a lack of not quality, but top-notch cornerbacks that would be available. And would you be comfortable in paying, like I mentioned, the DJ Reeds of the world or Charvarius Ward, over $18 to $20 million? Would you be comfortable in doing that? With Washington's success of being 7-2, second in the NFC, they're like, what, if the draft started today, it'd be like the 26th overall pick. The Will Johnsons and Travis Hunters of the world are going to be gone. and a lot of the other corners that have been top prospects, such as like a Benjamin Morrison, stuff, they all have suffered season-ending injuries, which also works out in Washington's favor because those guys possibly going to drop to the second round. So it's like you had to make a move, not just for what's going on now, but also for the offseason from your draft projections and how you think those guys will fit in your scheme. Also, what's going to be open to you in the open market, because when guys hit free agency, you're spending much more money. So at the end of the day, it's a great deal for Marshon Lattimore to get a brand new start with Washington. I think that Marshon's representation and also the Commanders will be actively pursuing each other to get a new deal done. He has no guarantee money remaining on his contract, so both sides would be eager to get out a new deal to also provide them more cap flexibility. I can't. Anyone that doesn't see the bonus or the benefit of this trade is stupid as hell. Like, stupid as hell, because it's everything that you got that most people been screaming about. You guys been on Emmanuel Forbes' ass, like, to be a better cornerback. You guys are even killing Ben, and Ben's a solid cornerback. I'm not gonna sit here and say he's all pro or a pro bowler, but he's a third round pick that's been pushed into this position to play the star role of cornerback, and he's been doing a damn good job. You know, he got all the intangibles. Now being able to not have as much pressure on him could change things. He's also trying to get a new contract. So yeah, I just think that it's a interesting thing to hear people not understand the values, such as like the Rick Spielman and the Pete Prescos. You said.
Well, I don't think Rick. He said that they gave up a lot, but he ain't say it was a bad trade.
But
What
is a lot for someone that?
But I mean, a lot is a lot. I mean, still, what is he didn't? It's just. I mean, but Maul, you make it. You gotta pay. You gotta pay the tag. Like, it's the same thing that you say. It's the same thing that you say with a star receiver that you go grab. If you had to trade for Ayuk, we had this conversation for Brandon Ayuk before he signed his deal, or trade for T. Higgins or somebody. It's the same thing. You would have to pay a tag, and somebody else out there would say the same thing. They paid a lot for him. But if it made sense from a picks perspective, be the same thing, bro. Like, I don't like, it's a lot. You paid a lot.
But let me just explain.
But quick question,
it was a healthy trade on both sides, bro. So
I don't know every single trade details that happened today, but if y'all know, can y'all tell me what Zadarius Smith went for today?
Not exactly sure.
I'd have to look it up.
I do know one. Jonathan Mingo, second round wide receiver from the Carolina Panthers.
Bro,
he went for a fourth round pick.
Yeah.
So you're telling me that a top 10 cornerback isn't worth a third, fourth, and a sixth?
No, we're not saying no. That's not what we're saying.
Not you guys.
Yeah, I know that.
Saying, like,
no. Well, here's the thing, AJ. No, and let me just explain. So Rick Spielman, my gripe with him wasn't that he said that we gave up a lot, because it was a lot. It's a lot because, all right, you're automatically every year you walk into an NFL draft with 7 picks in a draft. Every year, without a trade, you're guaranteed 7 picks if you don't trade any of those picks. Now, if you gave up 3 draft picks out of those 7 and you only have 4 draft picks left, that's a lot. And it's a lot. I mean, the 3 draft picks in itself is a lot, even though we got 1 draft pick back. But because Washington had already accumulated other premium draft picks from other trades, this wasn't a lot to Washington. Like, this was like, you ask a millionaire to give up $1,000 versus a guy who only has $30,000 to give up $1,000. Like, that's to me. So to me, my only issue with Rick Spielman was that he didn't acknowledge the fact that Washington could afford to give up a lot in this case, because they already had a lot, and they still have a lot. They're walking out with 7 draft picks as of today after this trade. It's now 3 draft picks for one guy. That's a lot. But again, Washington could afford it.
They still got a first round pick that they can move back and acquire those picks right back.
Yes, so, I mean, in a second round pick.
So that's where it's interesting that Rick, who's a former GM, didn't understand that. Like, this first round pick, like we just said, is the 26th overall right now. Who's to say that doesn't get up to? We just had a Super Bowl meter. Who's to say that's not the 31st or the 32nd pick? You feel me? But it's like, you have the flexibility in the draft, and I think Dre, maybe I might have seen it while I was driving or something, to take the best player on the board if need be.
So Zadarius went for a 6 rounder from Jay Tizzy. Good luck, bro.
This year?
I don't know. I have no idea. I guess on another thing to think about, what's his name? Michael Gennady. He's the co-founder of Spotrac. He kind of broke down the contract side too. Washington is taking on $600,000 guaranteed dollars for Marshon Lattimore this year. But 2025, it's 18 mil that's not guaranteed. And 2026 is 18 and a half that's not guaranteed. At the end of the day, Washington has contractual control of Lattimore for the next 3 seasons. And I don't remember if y'all spoke on that specifically, but just to have him on your roster projected through 2026, right? I would imagine like if he kind of does his thing immediately here in Washington, there may be a restructure coming on where he can get him some guaranteed money. I don't know. In all season, maybe. I don't know. But say that to say, that's good dollar for a quality number 1 cornerback. And I think for him to be locked down at 28 years old, I believe, which somebody mentioned, he's only like a year older than Ben. Ben St. Juice.
Yeah, he's 28.
Yeah, so to have him on and he'll be around for like you can still play quality cornerback at 31, 32 years old. This man is in the middle of his prime. I just think that all of that needs to be considered too. Like you have longevity or short-term longevity. I don't even know if that makes sense, but you got a short-term future with him. And I think a short-term stability, that's probably a better way to say it, with Lattimore. And I think that's something that is really impressive, especially giving up what you did give up for Marshon. Couple things that I do think is worth noting. He does, like, despite what was going on this year, he's still like he's had 17 games played in the last 2 years, 2023 and 2022. Before that, he's played he's missed a couple games here and there. But he's had 2 full seasons at 16 games, but a couple he's missed here and there. But his injury history hasn't been something as significant other than you had concussions. And then in college, you had hamstring tears. He's had hamstring issues in the NFL as well. But he had a hamstring tear in college where he missed significant time and needed surgery. In the NFL, he's had hamstring strains. So those are kind of the issues that he deals with from a lower body perspective is that hamstring. And he's dealing with one this year, which was the diagnosis in September with a hamstring strain. So that's something that you got to keep an eye on with Lattimore is his real injury history, not what he's currently dealing with, quote unquote, right now. But he does have some problems with that hamstring area. Let me see.
Just to quickly correct, Richard Walker. That's what it is.
Yeah, Walker.
Okay, I can't see the end of it, but Ben has only played cornerback in his collegiate career. So he played corner at University of Michigan, then transferred to Minnesota. So I'm not quite sure where you got that from. He played outside corner. He never played slot corner prior, but he played corner the entire time.
Last couple of things. Washington is getting where was the number? For whatever it is worth. Do you all know what an open target rate is?
No.
Okay, so Dre knows. I don't know what this stuff means for Pro Football Focus. That's why I asked. But if you are a Pro Football Focus follower, 35% open target rate allowed, which is the 5th best among cornerbacks. What else? Does anybody know what a cornerback CPOE means?
PFF be getting folks. No, what the hell is an open target?
I assume that the mean that he doesn't. You're not really open when you check when Marshon Lattimore is on you. That's what I assume the open target to mean. That basically you're not an open target if he's on you. He is no separation, so to speak.
Interesting. Does anybody know what a cornerback CPOE means?
I don't
know. Okay, this is from Next Gen. This is completion percentage over expected allowed. This is from Next Gen. This is when targeted as the nearest defender. It allows a negative 12.3 CPOE. That is third in the NFL for Stat Geeks who follows Next Gen.
That's a good
The
amount
quote,
of that.
the tweet that they say verbatim, which is what I'm going to read. Marshon Lattimore has allowed a negative 12.3% completion percentage over expected when targeted as the nearest defender this season, third lowest among 75 outside cornerbacks. Lattimore has been targeted on just 9.7% of his coverage snaps, second lowest among cornerbacks. So shout out to that CPOE. Okay, CPO.
You know, these PFF things and those numbers and these different type of CPOEs, it reminds me of reading like a medication bottle with the ingredients. I don't know what the hell any of this means, but it seems as good.
Hey, this man Dre just said, yeah, I know
Yeah,
what it
it's a
means.
good amount of that. But I do know what the other one. I didn't know what the CPOE means. That was different.
Hey,
you had to
bruh.
explain that one to me.
I don't know what none of that shit mean. I'm just take it. Just whenever somebody asks you about Marshon and you listen to the show, just write it down in your notes and take that to him and say this is where he ranks. All right, tell them what they said, bro.
Are you doing the film breakdown?
I ain't got time for that. I ain't gonna lie to you. Not during the season, bro. We don't. We got other things to do. So we just gonna have to watch him play as a commander. Or shout out to Mark Bullock. He do a good job. I'm sure he's doing it. I got shit to do. Matter of fact, speaking of film sessions, Brandon Coleman film session coming out. If not tomorrow on what's today? Tuesday. If not tomorrow on Thursday. But yeah, I ain't got time to dive in on Marshon. So it is what it is, bro. All right. Hey, this is the Marshon Lattimore show. Appreciate y'all checking in. James Ferguson, he got the Devontae hammy. Yeah, we talked about that. Oh yeah, make sure y'all go vote, man. I don't know what parade talking about. I was talking to somebody, matter of fact, an editor who does the work for my film sessions. He was asking me, some questions about the election in the United States, and then he said, man, look, y'all situation is way better than having to deal with bombs going off down the street from you. And I was like, in our conversation, I was like, perspective is a motherfucker, bro. Because, that definitely, what I was trying to break down to him what's going on in the United States. You know what I'm saying? He surely shut me up. He's like, yep. Keep that in mind. It's like 10 miles down the street from him. Like those bombs going off, bro. So,
I mean,
make sure y'all go vote, bro.
Yeah, definitely praying for those that are in those situations. I voted over the weekend. Took my dad today to vote. Yeah, man, it's important to vote either way, no matter if you're Republican, Independent, Democrat, whatever the case is. I mean, I think the most corrupt thing in this country is the Electoral College. Most places around the world have popular vote, and that's it. For some reason, well, I know the reason is to rule in favor of the other side, but that's the most corrupt thing I've ever seen in my life. It's like, how can you win the popular vote but still lose because of a fake number that aligns with with certain states, like places like, I don't know, I'm just throwing it out there, but let's say the state like Wyoming is worth 35 electoral votes. What? Whereas like New York is only 12? I don't know. I'm just throwing numbers out there, but that's insane to me. Like, who the hell determined that? It's just like it's just like someone saying you gave up too much for Marshon Lattimore by giving up a third, a fourth, and a sixth. It's like, bro, we talking about a all-pro player here. Like, it's the same thing. So, yeah, I mean, it's gonna be interesting, but for my black brothers and sisters, stay out of DC for the next 48 hours.
Unfortunately, I'm about to be down there on Thursday.
So,
yep.
Yeah, I have to be there Thursday.
Down there?
Down that thing Thursday.
We both
Southeast. Southeast, man.
I'll be down there. But I got my sticker. I voted today. But
okay, shout out to you, man. Put the sticker on for the show, bro. I should have did that, though. I should have put it on my forehead.
It's election day. You know what I'm saying? You got to.
I didn't even get a sticker.
Yeah, they ain't fuck with you, bro.
But that's because you voted early, probably. But no, I mean, but I'm with you, AJ. Because we live in Maryland, and one thing about living in Maryland is our state really doesn't matter when it comes down to the presidential vote. I mean, the voting in Maryland means more so for. Yeah, well, yeah, it's a blue state, but it still doesn't mean much in terms of electoral college. We don't have that many electoral college votes throughout the whole thing. We're not a swing state. Like the swing states are really the only states that matter kind of in this national voting, but I still go cast my vote. I do my civic duty. And plus it's more about the local elections for us. But still, man, I mean, I'm just hoping that we don't get another 4 years of embarrassment like we did from 2016 to 2020. I'm not going to say any names, but yeah, I'm just hoping that we get the right results tonight, man. But I do hope that everyone was able to go out there, honor their civic duty, and vote today.
Yes, sir. All right, that's going to wrap it up for us. The gang will be back on Thursday to preview Steelers and Commanders, and I'm hoping we can get somebody on as well so we can talk a little bit more about Marshon at that point too, from the New Orleans side. So yeah, we're gonna wrap it up. All 32s on tomorrow. Film sessions coming out with Brandon Coleman tomorrow or Thursday. But yeah, that's it. Y'all stay safe. Peace.
Sir.